we have a big one for you, boys and girls. We have Jessieology, which you guys may know from a few casts on EGC's side, as well as our dear and beloved Angelica, who did a ton of work for today's event with all the cameras and such, or with all the pictures and such. So, our two Whamens, Ukraine and USA. Now, Angelica, known to be a raider of sorts, she's very much like Tim, likes to go into the backlines, play civilizations like Rus, which we're not a big fan of, because Rus is a very destructive civilization and they have very powerful knights. Tim, do you have any comments on this?
Um, I wouldn't say destructive. I think they're very good in the meta, and I think that they're very important for Age of Empires 4 as a whole. I think probably the most important civ, I would say. I'm not biased or anything. And the this is a powerhouse matchup, honestly, Whamen, because both these players, you see them streaming pretty much all the time. They're always playing AoE. Both of these players can definitely bring some good talent. I cannot wait to see this one. I've watched both of these streamers probably since the game came out a couple years ago, and this is the first time I have the opportunity to actually cast their gameplay. So I'm pumped.
Mm. I mean, this is going to be a first for a lot of people because, you know, there's no real opportunity for these types of players, of aka us not being Conqueror 3 and above, to participate in these cups, except for Rising Empires, guys. Remember, Rising Empires is also a thing, but again, this is a women's only cup, so this is a time for everyone to show a little bit of representation in the land of the women's. But I do want to give some background on some of these players. So, for example, Jessieology, she went to art school and she actually went to study a pre-med, but now she's a jewelry designer and streamer. And Angelica, you know, she's a content creator with amazing art and amazing AoE plays. But yes, let's hop into the fun of Age of Empires. Ooh. So, whoa, whoa, my screen. I'm just hearing noises. The excitement's about to begin.
Cal, we're
All
just
right.
hearing. Oh, there we go. All right, let's go.
Okay, I don't want to comment anything on Mongols. I feel like you should take the lead on this one.
Oh God.
Tell me about Mongols.
Well, yeah, I know about Mongols. I don't necessarily know how to play them very well, but the Mongols, obviously, starting with their Khan, as you can see on your screen, and I know Angelica is one to play the Mongols. I know she's very good with the Mongolian Empire, and this matchup might prove to be a little difficult for Ayubids Jessieology on the other side in the color yellow. We all know how the Ayubids like to play. Maybe Jessieology will try to be going for some kind of fast castle, or maybe she dips her toes in a little bit of feudal aggression. I'm curious to see how she ends up doing. But Angelica, you're exactly right, Wayman. When you foreshadowed this before, the Mongols have the ability to be destructive in feudal age and be destructive. So maybe if Jessieology is going for something like a fast castle, she wants to sit at her base, she wants to hang out a little bit. Mongolian Empire is going to have something to say about it.
I am not a fan of playing against Mongols, playing as Mongols. A lot of people who are familiar with my stream, you may have seen me try out Mongols. As a mostly trash player in Diamond slash low conk, I am about gold 2 on Mongols. That is how bad the civilization is for me, and I also have a mental block against them. They are such a diverse civilization, and they can go for so many different strategies in every part of the game, especially on a map like Dale, where Mongols is insanely favored in terms of trade as well. So a very good pick from Angelica on this map. Now, Aeobids is a civilization that also has choices, you know? And because we're not all here in High Conqueror 3, we might not be following exactly the same strategies as we see on the normal pro scene. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jessie ages up with something a little bit more spicy. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I lean towards with regards to this matchup, but I think in a normal 1v1, Mongols will definitely be favored in this because they have that strong raiding ability. Again, you can wall off though.
I like what you said before with Jessieology and maybe going up for feudal age. I'm with this Whamen Cup. I'm living for the spice, Whamen. I need
Trade
to
win.
see spice.
Give me trade. I'm sorry. Are
Well,
you
you are going to get some trade here. The Mongolians are going to give you a little trade with the silver tree, and you were absolutely right. Ooh, look at that little
not a little
little hole
hill?
there. You might
Mm.
need to wall that off. We all know that a wall is only as strong as its biggest hole.
Okay. That is a very important piece of information I did not know about. Thank you very much. I'll put that on my paper of notes. The wall is only as strong as its biggest hole. Noted. Noted. As can be said for Mongols as well, with no walls, because we are just gonna raid them, aren't we, Jessie? I see that Jessie's age up's a little bit delayed. I don't know if you guys can see the difference in resources in general. So something that we need to notice, and I'm gonna speak like we're speaking to people who are not necessarily all high ranked. What is happening is you can see Jessie is floating a little bit of extra gold. Now, when you are playing a matchup against any civilization, you want to make sure that your age up is at a good time. And Jessie being a little bit behind Angelica might have a really large impact, as Angelica can come in with Keshix very early on. Now, we don't know what Angelica is going to go for, but we know Angelica is aggressive. And her standing blocking the wall with that Khan is already showing exactly she means business. Hot damn.
It's so irritating, isn't it? There's probably so many games that you've had when you play on ladder, and basically when I do too, when you have somebody just standing there and standing ground there. You're like, oh my god, I just need this wall. I just need to be safe, and this con is giving me hell for it. Jessie did end up hitting that sheep because she was quite mad, I would imagine, and striking that sheep down. And I think that's a warning sign for Angelica. She better be careful.
And that Khan has now been cornered. That Khan's little tiny little wall has been built. Oh, it has been filled. The hole has been filled. Sorry. Yeah. Now the wall coming up, coming in strong, but that Khan's stuck. I just don't think that Jessie is going to be able to do anything against this for a while, depending on what she ages up with. Now, can we? Oof, that little thing just getting stuck. That poor little villager standing AFK. And we're going to see Jessie is having 2 villagers idle at the moment, but that is because usually when you start dealing with a Khan in your base, you get overwhelmed. I can speak from experience. And as mentioned before, Angelica will open with a stable. So this means the Keshiks are going to look for some spice.
I don't know how much spice they're going to end up getting, though. I mean, this is kind of like I was looking for a little paprika, but I think we're just going to get salt at this point. And with these Keshiks, just because of how much they're walled, and Jessie's doing a good job of doing that. You know, she makes sure that the Mongolians aren't going to attack her very early. She goes up with economic wing as well. We know with the IU bids, there's a myriad of permutations that you could have. You could pick any wing at any age. You can click them all whenever you want. She goes for economic wing, so she gets 3 extra villagers. Hopefully that'll help her out if she's sitting in her base for a little bit. She get a little extra resources. She could take it to Angelica whenever she wants.
And we can see what she's going for. The fact that she's floating this much food and gold means that there is going to be a little FC fast castle coming in hot. And we're most likely going to see some chunky castle age units dominating the scene. Now, this can be punished by Mongols. Their units are not the worst against castle age units, so you are going to need to be careful. She can't just run straight in, especially once these horses eventually get through. She might be denied of some resources pretty quickly. The Khan is annoying, and as a person who gets overwhelmed by a Khan easily, it might throw Jessie off a little bit, but I'm holding out strong for her. I think she's got this emotionally.
Yeah, I think Jessie is one of the few in this tournament that can do it. Uh,
God.
I hate. Why did you bring me on here?
We're practicing, Tim. We're practicing. For those
Oh,
of
yeah.
you who don't know, we're gonna start a podcast, guys. We need to see how we vibe. So this is a very important moment for us, yeah. So make me cringe more. I'm waiting. Anything
Oh God.
else?
Oh, if that's what you need, oh, I could be the cringe king here. But now with that con circling around, you know, Jesse's doing a good job repairing that wall. It's kind of interesting for the Mongolians. You see those traders getting 66 gold a pop every time they go back and forth. The Mongols kind of they indirectly be proactive this way, right? Because
Mm.
if you let the Mongols continue to trade, you're never going to have as many resources as them. So Jesse's trying to do the best she can and trying to get to Castle Age as quickly as possible. But on the backside, Angelica's like, hey, do you want to go to Castle Age? I'll
Did she
put,
just
I'll start torching some walls down and I'll be trading in the back and I'm gonna have more resources later.
She did accidentally pull the villagers. Sorry, I almost interrupted you. I was just shocked. All the villagers have been pulled into a very weird position. I'm not sure why. I think she may have misclicked. And this might put her in a little bit of danger here. She doesn't have that gold. Is she aging up at the moment? She had the gold. And I think she got wheelbarrow instead. Yeah, she had... Oh no. She had the gold and she decided to go for wheelbarrow. Now she doesn't have the gold and she is not on gold right now. So there's not going to be a fast castle. This is not even a medium castle at the moment. And that trade from Angelica is going to start paying off very soon.
Yeah, I mean, you can see with the traders getting highlighted over there as well when they go through those outposts. They do have the YAM network, so it makes their speed increase just a little bit, makes those traders just a little bit more efficient. Jessie continuing to try to build that wall or repair it, I should say, over there on the eastern side of her base. Villagers are going down because the Khan is continuing to be annoying. I don't know how many arrows that Khan is equipped with, but I think it's shot about 300 at this point.
That guy hasn't gone back to base for a refill, but I feel like she's just trying to protect herself. I don't think she realizes she hasn't started her age up yet. Because she is not putting enough on there, and she has 1,400 food, which is way too much. And these horses have extra long sticks. They're stuck in the wall, but they're just gonna break it down in the end. I feel like this is it for Jessie. She's chasing the Khan with her villagers. She's desperate to get rid of that thing. And that is the power of the Khan. It overwhelms your opponent. You can't stay on the ball with it that easily.
Now, I mean, we're about 10 minutes into the game, and those peasants finally got pissed enough. And I think that Khan is going down. We'll see you in 2 minutes, brother.
Finally, the Khan goes down. And guys, you know, Khan die, you die. So maybe this is the moment for Jessie to take it through. I think she's building a tower next to a goal to try protect these villages. But girl, you gotta put more villages on that gold. Otherwise, you are not aging up this game. I see another amount of gold has been spent, and I wish I knew on what.
Yeah, I think probably a little bit of indecisiveness from Jessie, you know, because she made a barrack, she started making spearmen, and she really didn't want to, you know, she wanted to go to Castle Age completely without units, or naked fast castle, you know, is what they usually call it. While Angelica's just continuing to pack on pressure. In the beginning, we saw her get the 2 times Keshiks because of that stone with the Uvu, so now she's always going to have a military lead. I think now Jessie's like, burn down that wall, you son of a bitch. Let's see what happens.
The problem is, when you're playing against Mongols, when you allow them to get trade for this long, they're already so far ahead economically. There's no easy way to get back into the game from that. Unless you run all your units into some spearmen and lose all of them. But I don't think Angelica will run all of her units into them at the same time. She loses 2 horses. And they are looking for blood of the villagers. Blood of the villagers, but instead their blood has been spilled. Da-da-da.
Oh damn, we need that. We need that on a soundtrack, especially playing against the Iabids, because you're gonna see some of these villagers probably go down. There's not enough space in that town center. You can't go home, but you can't stay here either.
And Kulturai coming up from Angelica, so that means even though we expected the fast castle from Jessie, Angelica beat her to it. And that is just the 10 traders giving the best of the best, delivering the best type of resources, everything you need. So, Khan is up though. Is he going to make it into the wall and cause another season of havoc? Season of discovery, step aside. Time of World of Warcraft is over. And the gold is still not being prioritized. Now, for those of you who aren't chads at this game all the time, keep in mind, when you play any civilization and you're floating around 1,000 food, and you're not going for the age up, you need to make sure that you're producing. So this is one thing that Jessie needs to focus on in future games. If she realizes, oh, I'm floating a lot of resources, use them. Make a plan to use them. So in her case, she could have pumped out a ton of spearmen. She could make a few more production buildings so that she is ready for when she does eventually hit castle. Because even when aging up now, it might not be enough to hold a Mongol push. The army is still quite even, but the villager count doesn't lie.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, that's one of the reasons why the Iabid Fast Castle is as good as it is because it's fast, right? You see a lot of Iabid players, like, if they shore up at home, a couple more villagers going down, you're gonna hear the shrieks of those IU-bid villagers if we do get one of them down. Oh my, how theatric! Like just lay down, dude. Like you don't need to shriek like that.
Just being dramatic. They wanted attention. They know this is the Whamenqt Cup. They just want to be the center of attention here. But the wall has been repaired on the one side. However, as TenFourTim, the prophet, has said, a wall is only as strong as its largest hole. Yes, there we go. I got it.
That was fantastic. I need that on a t-shirt.
Your vote. Hole in wall. So, instead of going for the usual, I mean, the fast castle timing has been missed, so the culture wing age up does not happen. I assume that she will save this one for Imperial. I don't expect to see a trade wing being popped out too easily. But going for the military wing is an interesting choice, because the military wing is going to allow her to have those passive units, as she doesn't have the production to sustain this right now. But keep in mind, again, if you're a newer player, just make sure that when you're aging up, you have a plan. Right now, Jessie has 1,000 food, 500 wood. She needs to put down production buildings, and she needs to start making units. You need to make units so you can spend that food. Because once your castle, you're not necessarily going to have the availability to do it. But Angelica's not being as aggressive as I thought she'd be. She's just letting her economy boom.
Yeah, that's a super good point, Whamen. And I think for everybody who's watching could understand that. Couple traders going down though. I think that's a dead donkey over there on the north side. Jessieology camping those spearmen over here. Angelica's not going to take that for an answer. You see that Curl Tie is going to start wheeling and dealing up there on the north side. I think we're going to see a big fight happen.
The fact that Jessie can still raid after being pushed back this much and being that overwhelmed by a Khan is absolutely wonderful. She is showing that she can persevere. She pushes the deer aside. Oh, I thought she was going for the deer play here. But yeah, she wants to get a little bit of damage done. However, Emma don't do too well against archers, you know? So she might be losing all of those bad boys. And running through the wrong way, unfortunately, that is going to be an expensive loss. But however, we see the villager difference. It's 61 to 44. This is not going to be an easy comeback for Jessie. She does, however, make Gulans.
Those spearmen ended up becoming target practice for those archers, pretty much. And now, with that free units that you talked about with the IU-bids, right? They're going to have Desert Raiders, or like I call them Desert Raider, I hardly knowers. And probably, when she ends up getting a decent amount of mass of them, it's kind of crazy with Angelica because she has a lot of trade. And she's using her resources pretty well. I would expect to have more units, don't you think?
But I can't believe she hasn't focused as much on the economy, but I guess she just wanted to make sure that she has a trade going. But in her defense, she is having to pull out the sneaky move. She's pulling out the south trade, which your opponent usually doesn't expect. Because who would expect that your opponent is going to trade on your side? Now, this is one thing that we need to be very careful of when we play against Mongols, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check both markets, because both markets are susceptible. And the problem with these camels is they're not that great against archers. And right now, these archers are kind of snacking on them. They're not doing too great. The spearmen aren't doing too great against them. The Khan does go down. And you know what they say. Khan die, you die.
And that's the second generation Khan, too. You know, so that trader, oh my God. I don't know if that trader, I don't know if she'd had that waypoint over there on the south, but that's a really good heads up play. That trader's looking for, it's looking for that market. He's like, I got goods. Just tell me where to put
Please
them,
take it. Please. I got the gold. So, Mr. Tim, if you were Jessie, how do you make a comeback from this point? Do you transition to trade?
Man, I think like both of the markets are gonna, like, she doesn't have map control, right? So the only way to really pull trade off, and one of the reasons why the Mongols are so good at trade is because Angelica did it perfectly, where you get aggressive in feudal, you take it to the other person's base, and then you trade behind it because you have that map control. Jessie doesn't really have that. So trade probably not a good idea. Both trade markets are probably compromised at this point. Maybe she might be looking for, I don't know. I mean, her economy is that much far down. You can see it based on score difference. You can see it based on the economic count on the top of your screen, 72 to 49. You might want to think even, I mean, you make enough units to make yourself safe, maybe a second town center, but I don't even know if it's going to pay off in time. And now Jessie's taking a fight under the curl tie, Whamen.
This looks to be a fight that she could have won though. With those units, she has a lot of ghulams. If she turns around, I know she doesn't want to fight under the curl tie, but she does. This is maybe the one fight she can still win. She has the upgrades as well. And
Yeah,
she
I mean, with
calls
how many heavy units she had, you're probably right. I mean, those Ghulams are gonna be able to take so many archer arrows, and Jessie continuing to go on more of that defensive standpoint, and she's making that giant keep right in the front of her base. Wait a minute, look at how far she's going for food, and those villagers look like they
They're
want
just
some of those
observing.
berries, they want some of those pomegranates, but they're not picking them.
They're looking at the wall, feeling accomplished in their work that they have just completed. So good on them. They need to admire their time outside, of course. The one issue I have for Jessie right now is her gold's about to run out. That girl is about to be starving in the gold department. 287 left, as our beautiful observer Cal has pointed out, and this is going to be a tough one because all of a sudden her unit production is not going to be able to keep up with those just making armored units. And now, I mean, those berries are going to get tapped out very soon. There's horses on the south side, just making sure that she does not get to the other side for food either. Those villagers are kind of stuck. Are you stuck, step villager? Do you realize you are stuck, step villager? Are you going to die, step villager? Yes.
I was waiting to say how long you were gonna take that. They are stuck, but they're making pretty good use of their time. Angelica on the other side, it looks like we got Camel Lancers coming in, making that front line, some Desert Raiders, some Ghulams, some Spearmen. Is taking a fight under the curl tie again. Don't see a lot of anything like crossbowmen for Angelica. It looks like maybe 4-ish crossbowmen, and they're probably matriculating their way towards the map. But man, those archers, for how much extra damage they can do with the curl tie. A lot of those Camel Lancers, those Desert Raiders, they got just absolutely evaporated. Jessie's continuing to wall. She's trying to make an onion layer out of this hill and dale.
Best map, they got layers. And yeah, as pointing out now, we got 20 traders coming in from the back there, and that is just an unstoppable economy. You see, if she took that fight earlier, she might have been able to get out on top. But now she also just dragged a bunch of villagers forward, lost a few more. And I think Jessie just got a little bit overwhelmed. I can see that there's a lot of potential in Jessie's play as well. You can see she knows how to multitask. She knows how to handle a lot of these units, but with the right amount of pressure, even from that early con, it completely threw Jessie off. And I think missing that Castle Age timing may have just cost her the game, even with the transition. Because Mongols just got ahead too far. With all those traders, ooh, they are just speeding up those traders. They are running with those loots. Hot damn!
Those are marathon donkeys. Look at how fast they're going. They're insane. And Angelica, she's continuing to make rams. She's trying to huff. She's trying to puff. She's trying to blow this house down.
And she might get a little bit of those rams down, but at the cost of, what, 17 villages now? The problem is those Ghulams aren't going to do well for too long. There's going to be crossbows, more than there is now, and 6 more in production of them. They are not going to last too long. This is going to be a distraction very soon. Maybe if there was a little mangonel instead of a trebuchet, she could have landed a spicy shot. Is a mangonel coming? No, ram is coming. The gold is just not allowing her to get a mangonel out. And that ram, clapping cheeks right now. I think she right-clicked on one of the units. Oh, never mind. That is an A move. There we go. She does clean up a bit of the units, but with that amount, that's not gonna matter too much. This should be game.
Yeah, then she backed up just a little bit. Those Ghulams are doing the best they can. It looks like they're kind of doing the hokey pokey and turning themselves around here. But I like what Jessie was trying to do. She was trying to snipe that trebuchet. She does pull some villagers, or snipe that curl tie, I should say, with the trebuchet. She does pull some villagers in order to build it, but there isn't anything to protect it anymore. Military count 50-3. This is, I mean, this is a destruction.
Yeah, a poor girl. I mean, I can understand completely that feeling of being overwhelmed for those few seconds and just losing it all right there. But this was a great play from Angelica. Not anything to take. She has been on her opponent on 5 different parts of the map the whole time. Absolutely amazing play from her. She's actually seat number 6 in this tournament, so should be a bumper player we're going to be seeing for the next few days. I expect her to make it through to the semifinals as well, or not semifinals, quarterfinals. We'll see about the semis. She might.
And I think if I remember correctly, did both of these players were 1-0, right? They both won their first game.
Yeah, Jessie snacked on that first win. But if you do look at the ranking difference, these two, Jessie is gold 3, while Angelica is around plat 2. So there's no shame in any of these losses. She played her heart out and she did an absolute amazing job. So she's making it work for it. Jessie says you are not getting this one for free, girl. A few more rounds had to come and complete the story. That poor little Kuro's eye just burning. Stop!
Oh,
Stop!
I mean, if you're playing a tournament like
Yeah.
Jessie is right now for game 2, you give it literally go to your last villager. Who cares? This is there's always a way to come back in Age of Empires 4, and that's one of the things that we love so much about it.
Oh,
If you take a look at the economy count, that's donkey power there, ladies and gentlemen.